And welcome to this episode of Season 3 of the Dr. Tech Show, where myself, Pauline Roche, and Sweyn Hunter, and sometimes guests, but not today, talk about digital topics, including the world of online communications and digital inclusion, in a show which was the brainchild of digital storyteller, the late John Popham. And as we usually do, we do a weather report. So, Sweyn, how's the weather where you are?
It's quite nice. It's overcast, not too cold, not too windy. Perfect Orkney summer's day, you might say.
Sounds good. And here in Birmingham, it is like last week, a kind of a white grey sky, cloudy. But the forecast is good, and I'm hoping to get out later on. And we've got a workman replacing some tiles at the front of the house where I live. So, yeah, he seems to be enjoying the weather. He's got a short t-shirt on, so that's good.
Great.
So we got some dates that we picked up that are happening around this time, and then it's Wednesday, 31st of May to Tuesday, 6th of June, is National Patient Participation Group Week 2023. And this week aims to promote the role and benefits of PPGs, patient participation groups. I think you put this one in deliberately to test my my speaking, Sweyn, to promote the role and benefits of PPGs to patients, the public, and health professionals, to create more understanding of the value of true patient participation, and also to promote the support available from the National Association for Patient Participation. Dr. Phil Hammond, who's a GP, well-known GP turned hospital doctor, journalist, and broadcaster who supports the week, said this: patients and carers are the smoke alarms for the front line of the NHS. They are often first to spot poor care and also have great ideas about how to make care better. They need to be involved in decisions not just about their care, but in designing better care for others. Patient participation groups are a crucial way of harnessing the voice of the patient in primary care and have much to contribute in driving up quality. So everyone, the blurb goes on to say, is encouraged to make some noise about the excellent such groups undertake in partnership with their practices by organising awareness-raising activities during this week. Is that something that you've taken part in the past, Sweyn, in a patient participation group?
No, I haven't. And also, I forgot to check. I suspect this is an English regime.
Okay.
But I'm sure there are equivalent things in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. But it just seemed to me to be the kind of thing that we would encourage. Anybody
Absolutely.
can take part. Anybody's perspective of the healthcare that they receive is valuable, and I'm sure that these groups do a lot of good work trying to put some kind of, as it were, user focus into how healthcare is delivered locally.
Very important to us, and as it was to John as well. He was very keen on hospitals, wasn't he? And getting Wi-Fi into hospitals and generally making hospital stays more, participative, I'd say.
Yeah, he was an absolute pioneer in the Wi-Fi in hospitals thing. I actually think that the national push to get that done was influenced by his kind of agitation beforehand, and he was actually involved in the group that got it specified and implemented. So
yeah, and we remember one of the early episodes where he actually broadcast from hospital, where he had a device, didn't he? He borrowed a device to.
Yes, he wouldn't himself rely on hospital Wi-Fi, certainly not for broadcasting. So he had a 5G device, which allowed him to pick up the 5G signal and broadcast alongside us in this show a couple of times when he was in hospital. So that was. He always seemed to be having great fun, even in the most adverse circumstances, John, and we miss him very much.
We do. Okay, moving on. Another one Sweyn picked up is May Measure Month, which is not one I've heard of before, and this is about raised blood pressure. We do seem to be talking about blood pressure a lot these days. It's the number one, raised blood pressure is the number one cause of preventable death worldwide. And this month is improving awareness by helping people to get their blood pressure checked every May, completely free all across the world. So not just a local effort. This is an international effort. It says, the blurb says, with a quick arm squeeze, we could save millions of lives, and be a part of it and join in hashtag the big squeeze.
I love the hashtag.
Yeah, very, very topical. It goes on to say over 10 million lives, sorry, are lost each year due to high blood pressure. Yet only 50% of people affected are aware they have it. Give yourself a squeeze and get your BP checked. In fact, Sweyn, we were talking about this in my own family, only this week, where it turns out that some of our family have high blood pressure and some have low blood pressure.
Oh my.
So yeah,
yes,
but
that could be a problem too.
Yeah.
This one really I noticed it in my usual search for half relevant date based remembrance things for the show, and it actually acted as a bit of an I'm supposed to be doing that message to myself, because I had my so-called annual MOT at the GP's good few weeks ago now, and one of the things they asked me to do was to take blood pressure readings morning and night for a week and then hand them into the practice. But of course, the first thing I did, more or less, after that appointment was to catch COVID. So I didn't think it was particularly sensible to be sending in blood pressure readings while I have COVID, because who knows what COVID does to blood pressure. So I have not yet, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks later, actually done it. So it's very appropriate that I get that at least started before the end of May.
That would be good.
So, yes. And I think it's just another little aside there. I mean, it's saying there, people around the world can get their blood pressure checked for free. It just reminds us of the value of the free at the point of use health services that we have in the UK. Long may that continue.
Yes, we hope so too. We cherish that. Okay, so we'll move on to events that we've picked up are happening around this time. And on 16th of June, which is a couple of weeks' time, the Digital Poverty Lines is running an event called Introducing the Minimum Digital Living Standard, and it's on Eventbrite, and the link will be on the YouTube page after the show goes out. So the blurb says, how do we measure digital inequalities? What is the basic package of digital goods, services and skills different households need to live in a digital world? And this is a major research project led by the University of Liverpool in partnership with Loughborough University, City University and Good Things Foundation, which has developed a measure of digital inclusion generated by citizens based on their own experience and needs. It has been developed not to reflect a minimum for survival, but rather a minimum for remaining socially engaged. And so this event, you're asked to join Professor Simeon Yates, who's the Professor of Digital Culture in the Department of Communications and Media at the University of Liverpool, to hear more about this new benchmark of digital inclusion and the impact it will have on policymakers, organisations and researchers in the digital exclusion space. So that sounds like one that we all want to be aware of.
I think I've registered for that. If I haven't, I will be doing so later.
Yeah.
I love this idea of kind of a minimum agreed standard, a bit like a service obligation for the Royal Mail or for telephone services or broadband services, just to try and have some kind of independent, well-respected body define what the minimum set of stuff is. And it'll be interesting to see what makes it into the mix of that minimum standard. There's another interesting minimum standard that I heard someone was working on the other day, was what the minimum installation in a house that has a roof of solar panels and equipment would be, to the absolute minimum installation, trying to avoid batteries because they're expensive, maybe considering using DC rather than AC for the heating, and basically focusing on heating a room and the hot water in a home. What is the minimum installation for that? Because there's a real risk, a bit like digital inequality. There's a new developing domestic renewables inequality setting itself up. Those who can afford to invest in the equipment, and it can be 10 or 20,000 pounds, can get lots of solar energy, from then on, more or less free after you've paid up front. But of course, to do that, you need enormous number of privileges. You need to have a home. You need to have a home that has a roof that points in the right direction. In other words, not a flat on the second or third floor of 6. So there's all these things that that we all think we know what all these minimum things are, whether it's digital, whether it's energy, whatever it is. But actually, when you start to think about everyone and to define a minimum standard for everyone, it gets quite interesting. And I hope that event by the Digital Poverty Alliance will be really insightful and make us all think about what it is that we're trying to actually do.
Yeah, I'll certainly be encouraging all the people I'm in contact with my networks who who care about this sort of thing to engage. A lot of the people we support at the charity, they're aware of things like the they lug the shopping basket that have been tested at either consumer price index sort of thing. Well, I think Wi-Fi needs to be part of what everybody has access to these days. It's not a luxury anymore, it's a necessity. So we certainly want to encourage and support that. Great. Okay. And also in June, we have 2 weeks, say the same week, and 2 events on in the same week. And the first one is the 6th Annual Digital Leaders Week UK.
Oh, wrong one.
And
sorry.
Yeah, we'll be coming on to that one in a minute. So 6th Annual Digital Leaders Week. And online booking is now open, and they've all kinds of sessions. I was looking at the ones for Tech for Good and Inclusion only last week, and I've booked on several sessions myself. So this is the UK's National Week supporting digital transformation, and they're all free mostly free talks and presentations. Some of them are actually in person, lots are online. And the blurb says, so whether you're a seasoned digital professional or just starting out in your career, this week has something for everyone. The comprehensive agenda is designed to provide you with the tools, knowledge, and resources you need to stay ahead of the curve in this fast-paced industry. So I think you're scrolling through some of the sessions there, Sweyn, or the topics.
They're scrolling themselves through.
Okay.
So I'm doing this with no hands at all.
Yeah, so they've obviously featured some talks, and there's
some of these look great.
Yeah, public sector, health, finance, social enterprises, delivering successful projects. I mean, there's plenty of interesting things there, including the Digital Leaders Awards, which will be announced, I think, in the course of Digital Leaders Week. It's good to see what people are doing and that they get some reward for, recognition for the work that they do. I'm sure AI is going to be a big topic there. I'm sure ChatGPT will be mentioned more than once. So good place to keep up on what's happening with all the things that matter to us, really, and keep us kind of on our toes in the digital inclusion space.
I need to go to that site and decide which ones I want to book for myself. I've not done that yet.
Yeah, I usually end up booking like several, and there's some overlapping, but I think they record some of them as well, so that you can catch up on them as well. So the next set of events is also happening in the same week, 19th to the 23rd of June, is Small Charity Week. And this year is being project managed by Wayne Murray, the founder of Humanity Squared, Vic Hancock-Fell, the founder of Fair Development, and Nicola Gower, the founder of NLG Digital. And this is a campaign which was first established by the Foundation for Social Improvement, the FSI, in 2010, to celebrate and raise the profile of the small charity sector. And from 2020, the campaign was jointly delivered by the FSI and other partners, including the Small Charities Coalition, all passionate about the work of the small charity sector. Unfortunately, the FSI closed in spring of this year, usual issues around funding and so for an infrastructure organization. So that was very sad for the sector, but the campaign is this year's being brought by NCVO and Lloyds Bank Foundation, who stepped in to rescue the event because it's so important for Small Charity Week. So there's a series of activities and initiatives to support and raise awareness of the hundreds and thousands of small charities that every day make a huge difference to vulnerable communities right across the UK and the rest of the world. And its objectives are to celebrate the contribution that small charities make to communities throughout the UK and across the world, to improve the knowledge, representation and sustainability of small charities, and to highlight the work of small charity sector to the broadest possible audience, to encourage public giving, and to work with the small charity sector to develop political engagement at a national and local level. So Sweyn has been scrolling through the various events that are being offered, and it's still possible to offer events throughout Small Charities Week if you want to register. So if you go to the website smallcharities.org.uk, I think it is, but you can several digital linked events are happening, and I think they're still taking registrations for all or most of them. So well worth a look to see if you are supporting small charities. Those are the kind of things that they need help with. So do have a look and see what you can. Do any of those jump out at you, Sweyn?
I
Of
haven't really
interest?
looked at this website yet. I'll need to do that later as well. And be some careful coordination between the two
Yes.
events, I think, required.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Prioritization.
Yeah, but they're the intersection of what we're a lot of what we're trying to do. So it's good to see it happening.
Absolutely.
So this week we don't have a guest, unfortunately. But we have a couple of guests lined up for the rest of June and July. So we hope to bring you more exciting conversation with guests. So in the meantime, we will just press on with some stories that we've picked up, and we may end the episode early today if we run out of things to talk about, but we will come back again next week, and hope you can join us then. So the first story that we picked up is about Get Online London, where the mayor of London has claimed successes for Get Online London, and it's an article from ukauthority.com. And the article says that more than 11,000 digitally excluded Londoners have now been given free training through the Get Online London programme. And in addition, thousands have benefited from donated laptops and mobile phones. The Mayor's Office and the London Council Group have been working with digital inclusion charity Good Things Foundation and partners in the public and private sector to help an estimated 270,000 people in the city with no internet or digital access. The programme, which is also supported by the London Office of Technology and Innovation, brings together large public and private sector organisations to donate old IT kit to Good Things Foundation. It works with electronic recycling organisation Reconome to refurbish and distribute the devices through participating community centres, and major donors have included Hammersmith and Fulham Council, Redbridge Council, consulting firm BJSS, and repurposing charity Ready Tech Go, with a total of over 1,800 refurbished laptops and mobiles being passed to Good Things Foundation. In addition, more than 26,000 SIM cards have been distributed to digitally excluded people, and this is part of I believe, the National Data Bank, which, if you're an online centre, a member of the Good Things Foundation Online Centres network, you're eligible to join the National Data Bank and distribute the SIM cards that come from 3, O2 and Vodafone. And the reason I know that is because Northfield Community Partnership that I work for is also part of the National Data Bank distribution, so we can give SIMs to eligible people in the area. There is a call for more support, of course, because the need is ongoing. So if you are able to help and support these kind of initiatives, then please do contact the organising organisations. The next article is from Charity Awards, which is looking at that does an awards for charities every year, and one of the charities that's up for an award this year is called My Life, My Choice. And the story behind this award is that disabled people are 50% more likely than others to face barriers in accessing online and digital services, according to research, largely due to inaccessible websites and resources. However, there are also issues around the affordability of devices. For example, the 2021 NHS Digital Report found that only 5.1% of people with a learning disability are in paid employment. So when the pandemic hit and much more of our daily lives moved online, digital exclusion for disabled people became even worse. And in response to this, My Life, My Choice, which is a self-advocacy charity for adults with learning disabilities in Oxfordshire, launched Computer Buddy, its digital inclusion project. And this project supplied the charity's membership with free laptops or tablets and provided support and training to help members learn to use email, video conferencing apps, and other tools, as well as how to stay safe online. As a result of the project, the trustees, 100% of whom have a learning disability, decided to add digital inclusion to the charity's 5-year strategy and made the continuation of the Computer Buddy project a key objective. The project is now embedded into all areas of work across the charity, offering its members meaningful opportunities to improve their IT skills. They found the demand for devices and support very high, and so high that the charity has now employed a digital inclusion project coordinator to run the project full-time. And as of February 2023, the charity had provided support to 133 adults with learning disabilities across the county, provided 103 devices, and delivered 271 training and support sessions. And I know myself, Sweyn, from offering digital drop-in sessions through the Digital Literacy Project at NCP, that you can give a number of adults that you've helped, that you can give the number, but most of the adults that we helped, and I'm sure in this case as well, got multiple helps. It wasn't just a one-off, and they if they're happy with the service, they generally come back for more. The blurb just went on to say that although none of its full-time staff has a learning disability, My Life, My Choice employs 40 freelance staff with learning disabilities, ensuring their hours don't exceed 16 per week so as to protect their benefits. So they are, leading by example, and the staff who have learning disabilities are helping other people with learning disabilities to improve their digital inclusion. So it's good to see peers helping peers to improve their digital inclusion. I'd like to see that in most organizations, actually. It's much easier to accept help from a peer, isn't it, than from somebody you think is doesn't understand your circumstance.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, we have an opinion piece, and this is just one we spotted, and other opinion pieces are available, and we hope to, profile others, but this is one we spotted by Keir Starmer in The Guardian, and the headline being, "No more missing records or letters lost in the post. I will bring in totally digital NHS." So Mr. Starmer says that, what could a tech revolution in the NHS look like? He says that during the pandemic, more than 30 million people signed up to the NHS app, which is a big number and obviously represents the majority of adults in the country, and COVID made that necessary. But post-COVID, this resource could be harnessed for the good of the public, but it's been left dormant. He says it's an opportunity missed, indicating the absence of strong leadership. Various opinions on that. He goes on to say a Labour government would get hold of that NHS app and use it to drive forward a more patient-focused, responsive service. Get this right, and it means moving to a single front door to all NHS services, fully digital patient records. In one place, a patient will be able to book appointments, use appropriate self-referral routes, get reminders for checkups and screenings, receive the latest guidance on treatment, and have the ability to take part in clinical trials, something particularly important if you're one of the more than 3 million people in the UK who will be affected by a rare disease in their lifetime. Patients will be in control of their own data, he says, choosing how it's used and how it's shared. And this could mean a genuine democratizing of healthcare, helping to get rid of the divide between those who are confident to speak up for themselves and those who can't. Of course, it will need careful management to ensure those who are less comfortable using technology are supported throughout and given alternative routes where needed. A very important thing, we would say, to make sure people aren't excluded just because there's a digital doorway. It doesn't mean that people don't need other routes as well. He goes on to say a fully digital NHS will mean primary care, hospital care and social care are joined up properly for the first time, speaking to each other in ways that can speed up and streamline care for patients. He goes on to say it doesn't stop there. Technology provides more choice and power for patients, but it also saves lives. Artificial intelligence has the potential to transform patient outcomes, improve productivity, and save money in the NHS. And he gives an example. Lung cancer is the #1 cause of cancer-related deaths in the UK. There are an estimated 274,000 patients in the UK waiting 11 days or more following a scan to find out whether or not they have the disease. AI interpretation of chest x-rays can save 15% in radiologists' workload, reduce costs, and when combined with interpretation by a consultant radiologist, can reduce missed lung cancer cases by 60%. Rolling this type of tech out nationally could speed up lung cancer diagnosis, saving thousands of lives. Well, that's as you say, that's an opinion piece by one politician, but we can't, personally, I found the story. I can't say that I could disagree with it. If there is an app there that has all that information and people can choose to share their data or not, it seems like a no-brainer to, have that data available.
I think everything that's in that piece, one would hope to see come to pass. However, just to challenge it slightly, it's at least the 5th general election where this sort of talk has been made by one party or another. And yes, there is the COVID app, but as currently configured, it doesn't do any of this. So what would be needed would, as well as the nice ideas and the hopeful plans or aspirations, I would say, because there's no real plan there. You need a detailed implementation plan for all of this. And you need an enormous amount of money to be invested in it. Now, maybe this time around, if there is a Labour government, that is what will happen. But I don't see any sign of that yet in what they're saying. I mean, it's early days. None of the political parties are saying exactly what they would do after the next election yet. So, but I think there is a gap here between aspiration and funding to get some of this done, and also between aspiration and what's feasible within a timescale in terms of complexity and getting it all done. So, not to pour cold water on it completely, because it is a fantastically forward-looking and right-headed piece, without absolute focus on how to implement it in detail and absolute focus on how to fund it. I think there are just, let's say, large challenges ahead in actually delivering any of this. And I think it's the thing about AI, for example, that's absolutely fascinating. I think this is actually what Keir Starmer highlights there as potential use of AI is actually among the most exciting and interesting and likely to work applications of AI, where it's possible for medical people to train the AI to look for specific features in patterns of attendance, in symptoms, in and also, as in the piece, to interpret X-rays and other test results. I think that really is an area where AI will be really valuable, because there's such a lot of demand. We can never meet the demand with the human workforce. So if we can harness AI to actually do more with the same number of people, or hopefully a few more people, then that'd be great. So yeah, very hopeful, and it's also a well put together piece in terms of a vision or a set of aspirations. So definitely going in the right direction, and we can no doubt expect other political parties to pick that up and engage in the same sort of way. One thing to say, of course, Keir Starmer, a new Labour government, it would be the NHS in England, because the NHS in the other three parts of the United Kingdom are devolved to the governments there.
Yeah. Yes, some good learning there, and I'm pleased that he also picked up that, you know, needed to ensure, if and when things like this do happen, to ensure those who are less comfortable using technology are supported and given alternative routes, because as we always want to see, people not being forced to use a digital channel if it doesn't suit them. Which brings us on neatly to our next story, and the last one for today, I think, are about rail travel. The headline, this is from a tweet from someone who tweets as Lord Orc, O-R-K. Don't know if there's any connection to Orkney.
I suspect it's more to do with Lord of the Rings.
Okay. But the headline I picked out was the line I picked out was, cheapest rail tickets can no longer be bought at ticket office as passengers are forced to go online. And this Lord Orc, whose bio says he's an equality and disability rights campaigner, co-chair of the Avanti Accessibility Panel, a member of the Northern Access User Group, a member of Cumbria Better Connected, and also has the Twitter handle Level Boarding. He's a Londoner in the Lake District also, but he's a thread which we will obviously keep post the link to in the YouTube after the program goes out, so you can read the full thread. But he says in the tweets that he's written, most ticket machines don't sell concessionary 50% tickets for passengers who stay in wheelchair or are blind or visually impaired traveling with a companion. TVMs are inaccessible to visually impaired people. And I think one of the people who responded to that, yeah, Tanny Gray Thompson, is there on screen saying, so many ticket machines are inaccessible to me. You know, I mean, if someone, you know, she's not behind the door when it comes to talking about accessibility, and if she can't access ticket machines, then, you know, it's bad for her. It's bad for all people who are disabled and need that kind of access. So yeah, I just spotted this story, and kind of people then, if you go down to the thread, Sweyn, you know, other people chiming in to say they have difficulties with having to use machines to get tickets that they, if you can't get discount on tickets only online, then it is going to discriminate against people if they, they can't go, if they can't buy the tickets that are available at the ticket office, then people are being discriminated against. So it's maybe this is something we need to get this guy on to talk about.
That'd be great. Yes,
the story more and hear about his experience. Yeah, I mean, I as you know, I've just recently been interrailing, and I had a story last week about the buses that said you had to go online to buy a ticket, to travel on the bus, and it turned out it wasn't so. But I think in the UK it is gonna turn out to be true that people are gonna miss out on discounts by not being able to buy online. So yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the stories that we got for today. So I think maybe we're going to have early doors today, Sweyn.
Done a good, solid, honest half hour, so that's not bad.
As I say, we are hoping to have more guests throughout June and July, and some are booked already, and we hope to get some more. We hope to lots of our friends in the space, some of who've been on the show before, have been doing interesting things, and we want to get them on to talk about them, and we'll hope to engage some of them for you next week and the following weeks. So for today, we'll say goodbye, have a good week, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.